Guess what? Guess what? I got something to tell you. We all live the same life. Well, kinda. Sit down with us as we discuss various topics regarding being married millennials. When your spouse is both your best friend and your pain in the you know what. Welcome to another edition of the Married to Millennials podcast. I'm Tuck.
I'm Mishi.
What's up, baby?
Hello, hello.
What's going on?
I don't know. Today was a good day.
Good. Good. Hey, so since I'm like, I don't even know the record now. I'm probably like 0 and 2, 0 and 3 on these debates. I'm not going to
You
debate you
talking about
anymore.
specifically on this thing, right?
Oh yeah, no. This podcast.
Okay, because
If
3 sounds low.
yeah, because if it was real life, it would be up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to embarrass myself anymore when it comes to those debates. So I'm ask you a question.
Okay, what's the question?
The question is, if you got a call from Greenville County Corrections, what do you think the crime would be that I committed?
You?
I know it sounds crazy, but just think. What would you think it would be?
You?
Yes, me, girl. Just
A crime.
uh-huh. I mean, it's probably not gonna be like a serious crime. It's just gonna be like
If
you ready
anything,
to.
it's just like reckless driving, only because you don't pay attention that well. But you're not the type to get in any kind of trouble at all.
Wait, explain? What do you mean by that? Hold on, wait a
What do you
minute.
mean? You follow the rules. Like, you ain't trying to rock the boat. You're very nice. You're passive for
Oh,
most people.
okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're not a trouble guy, like, at all. Like,
Okay.
boy, you don't even like telling people your food's wrong. So you're not
I don't. I don't want
confrontational.
to. I don't want to make. I don't want to inconvenience them. Cause
Inconvenience, you're paying for it.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault.
Whose fault?
It wasn't the waiters to the waitress'
Okay,
fault.
but you have to tell them to tell somebody else. It's all about communication because you can't go back in the kitchen.
You're right. Okay, but you do handle that for me, though.
Right. So if I got a call, I would not expect it to be about you. Let's just say that.
Okay, got you. Well, I'm gonna tell you what I think yours would be.
Okay. All right, let's hear it.
I feel like yours would be, and this. I'm not to say that you are a violent person, but it is
Whoa.
definitely probably assault and battery. And you want
Assault
to
and
know?
battery.
Yes, I'm gonna tell you who it would be because of. If somebody talks sideways to your kids,
Oh, well, that's a given.
yes,
That's a given.
I feel like I would. We have to get that bail money ready.
Oh yeah. I mean, those are my children.
Right.
That's different.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah, you're not a bad person either.
No, I mean I
You
don't
follow
try
the
to be
rules as well too. So
to an
it wouldn't
extent.
be to
I
an
follow the rules to an
extent.
extent. I might
Ah,
stretch them a little bit.
okay.
You're not
So
stretching though. You're
yeah,
straight on.
you're right. Okay, I'm a little not soft though.
I didn't call you soft.
Okay, just making sure.
I just said you
Let it
follow
be
the rules.
known,
I
Tuck is
just
not
said,
soft.
oh boy, please.
Just let
I
it be
just
known.
said that you follow the rules and you don't like to rock the boat.
You're right.
Now, I'm not saying that if it came to your family, you wouldn't stand up for us
Oh,
or
no
anything
doubt,
like that. That's not what I'm saying.
no
So
doubt. I pick my battles.
if you want to give that example for me, then it'll
Hmm.
be the same for you. But outside of that, boy, you are not a troublemaker at all.
I used to be.
You
I'm
used to be a
reformed.
wannabe.
Whoa. That's a very strong word there.
You
No.
boy, you used to be a wannabe.
All right, just leave it there.
No,
Leave it there. Leave it there. Leave it in
Ain't going there.
the. Oh, so let's get back on topic. All right. So today we're
You
talking.
started it.
I did start it, and then I don't like how it finishes. So, yeah, so let's change the subject. See, I almost still lost. It wasn't even a competition.
Oh my gosh.
I have a question for you as well too. Let me
Okay,
ask
another
another
one. All
question.
right, let's go.
Yes. So, oh, sorry. Today's topic is: do we speak the same language?
Okay.
Okay. And I have a question for you. Can you tell when something is wrong with me?
Absolutely.
Okay. What are some signs that you know
You get
something's up?
quiet.
Okay.
Again, I just said you're not really confrontational. So if it's something specifically like you're upset about, you're getting quiet.
Mhm.
You don't really try to show any emotion, and
Mhm.
which is weird because you're an extrovert by far, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm an introvert, so I don't care to talk to that many people. But like, if something bother you, you just try to not talk about it,
Okay.
and you try not to show any type of emotion because it's almost like you're trying to process it in your own head without coming across to anybody else negatively.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
So you don't talk about it, but I can tell just because your outgoing nature
Mhm.
almost disappears. It's
Got you.
like you're internalizing it. Is that even a word?
Mhm.
Okay. It just sound wrong coming out. But it's like you're processing all of that in your head at the moment that you can't even do anything else.
Mhm. That's fair. I can see that. And I think when it comes to that, like you said, I guess to a certain extent I'm a people pleaser.
To a certain extent,
Okay,
that is your
sorry.
nature.
I am a people pleaser. And it's that I cherish other people's feelings. And I try not to say the wrong thing.
You care what other people think.
I cherish other people's feelings of how they
You don't
think.
want people to be upset with you, so you care about
Yes.
what they think.
Yes.
Let's call
Yes.
it how it is.
Okay.
Spade is a spade.
You're right. You're right. I can see that. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I used to be a people pleaser.
Uh-huh.
I use that really heavy, right?
Yeah.
Used
Used to
to
be.
be a people pleaser. But honestly, I felt like I got burnt with a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
and started realizing that I was sitting here trying to not rock the boat with other people
Mm-hmm.
and, not cause any kind of conflict, but yeah, it wasn't doing me any good.
Right. Yeah. And
So strategically selfish.
right. No, I got you. Yeah. And on the other side of that, I feel like I can tell when something's wrong with you as well too. So a lot of times when some you get quiet as well too. And
Mhm.
now you are quiet so you don't say something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a different quiet.
You're different quiet.
Hmm.
I mean, you're also processing, but you're also processing so that it doesn't truly hurt someone's feelings. And I think me for sure.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. It's more of you're still going to tell me like how you feel
Oh yeah.
and what you were thinking in the situation, but you're going to find it in a way that it's still loving.
You call it nice nasty.
Nice, nasty, exactly. And
Hmm.
you do that very, very well. Like I get the picture, but it didn't cut deep.
Well, I have to think through how it's going to be, how I'm going to land it,
Yes.
right? Like
Uh-huh.
I still have the same feelings.
Mm-hmm.
My thought about something ain't really changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that I want to make sure that I'm coming across in a way that is constructive
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't look like I'm trying to like place all the blame,
Right.
right?
Right. Uh-huh.
And I mean, I utilize that in my job too.
Right.
Like I work on the admin side of things. So for me, it's important on like verbiage and how you come across because people can take what you say and split it 15 different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think part of that is with my job, me doing that on a daily,
Right.
I also have learned to translate that over into our marriage.
And that is a very great trait to have. And I'm actually kind of jealous of how good you are at that for sure.
Oh, it came with a lot of practice.
uh,
Lots of practice.
right, right.
I'm
So
still working on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we're always a work in progress though. So, but yeah,
Oh,
but
you're
you
so nice. See, there you go. Not trying to rock the boat. Let's be real here. I'm not always great.
okay. So we can agree that, of course, whenever there is something wrong with either one of us, we're quiet. Maybe quiet for different reasons.
Okay, yeah.
But since we're not talking and we're not verbally saying anything, what are some other things like as far as body language? What's some things that you see in me that you're like, yeah, something's wrong?
It's not so much of what's wrong with you, like if something upsets you. Again, I think if it's just you, you're not trying to rock the boat, and so
Hmm.
you're just quiet and like not trying to cause any kind of scene or
Hmm.
cause any kind of scene or any kind of conflict with anybody.
Hmm.
So like I don't necessarily think that other than you being quiet and just kind of staying in your lane that you do anything physically. I think I've only heard you yell once, and that was kind of like shocking to you too.
Mhm.
So, but if there's something like, let's say you aggravated me
Mhm.
or did something to bother me or
Mhm.
that made me upset, and you can tell that I'm upset,
Right.
then the body language and all that changes quickly. I mean, it's not even just body language, but just how you approach me
Mhm.
is very obvious
Okay.
because the moment you know that I'm upset about something, you immediately try to like be in my space and like smooth it all over, right? Because
Mhm.
again, I told you you're like that people pleaser. You don't like to rock the boat. You don't like to cause any kind of conflict.
Right.
So you're immediately trying to smooth it all over to where you're like asking me random questions. And it's like
Mhm.
the small talk, right? You're in my space. You're
Right.
like trying to give me a hug and all that stuff. So your body language changes depending on like who you're affecting. If it's you, you don't care. But if it's
Right.
somebody else, you're
Uh-huh.
immediately trying to fix it.
Yeah. And that goes back to what you're saying about me, being a people pleaser. I'm one person that loves everything to be nice and everybody's
Butterflies and rainbows.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like real even kill. I'm like, yeah, this all
But it's not
good.
like nobody else wants that too. But it's just that you want it now. Like
Mm,
you can't even give it 2 seconds.
I can't. I don't know why. It's just because once again, I don't like when people are mad at me for one.
Right?
So I want to make sure that one, like you said before, what people think, and I think with me and you though, I really cherish what you think. I understand that sometimes you get upset, but I don't want to be the source of that. So I guess I'm trying to smooth it over so it's not as bad
You want to smooth it
anymore.
over so that I'm laughing and giggling and smiling at you again.
Yeah, because I
But here's
like
the
that.
thing,
Okay.
the gag is,
Uh
right?
huh.
It makes it worse for me.
Right. And
Like,
I know something's wrong with you, but I still end up somehow asking, "What's wrong, babe?"
oh yeah, and that makes me so upset.
Right. I got it.
Like, why are you asking me what's wrong when you know good and well it's you? Like,
Yeah.
you did it. You made me upset, and now you gonna act dumb? Okay, now I'm mad. For real.
True. I mean, here's the reason why I ask. I ask because it's more of like trying to break the ice. And like the ice is usually thick. So I'm like, hey, let me
Oh, it's an
just,
iceberg. But
okay.
I want you to approach it in a different manner.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had this conversation, but like, don't come up to me and say, "What's wrong?"
Yeah.
when you already know. Like, let's just be honest. We know each other. We're married.
Mm-hmm.
We're best friends. And you know
Right.
what ticks me off.
True.
And so I need you, if it's something that you truly feel like was a concern or
Mm-hmm.
a fault of yours,
Right.
I need you to address it,
Yeah.
like acknowledge it.
Of course.
If you don't acknowledge it and then you want to try to play buddy, oh,
Yeah.
that just makes it worse. Right?
No, I get
So,
that.
like,
Yeah.
acknowledge it. Hey, I know what I said earlier made you upset, and go from there.
Right.
Like, I'm more likely to talk when you acknowledge something versus you trying to beat around the bush and kind of, duck and dodge it.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally get that. And will say I have been working on that. It's just that, we talked about it before. We in the first episode, we kind of talked about how we've grown together, right?
Hmm.
Before you met me, that was easy for me to do. Like I can just kind of, everybody was cool with Tug. Yeah, just smooth it over and up. Yeah, you good. I used to be able to do that, but when I met you, it was a challenge because you're not just gonna let somebody just like smooth things over and not address it. And I really feel like it's more of you want the person to know one how you feel, and two you want them to acknowledge the fact that that was the wrongdoing and that's how it made you feel instead of just going like, I don't know why she mad. Let me just do that and just make her feel better. Let me just make her happy. Tell a joke. It doesn't work that way with you.
No,
Yeah.
no, I require,
Yes.
and I say that with my chest, right? Like,
Yes.
I require communication,
Mm-hmm.
clear communication. And I think communication is definitely a skill that you have to learn
Right.
and grow together because while I can sit there and tell you all day what made me upset, and be honest about it,
Hmm.
it's how you're gonna receive it too.
Right.
So if you're not in the like mind frame to receive it,
True.
it does no good. It goes in one ear, not the other, and then it's just gonna keep escalating from there.
Right. Right. No, totally agree with that. Now, there are some times when it may not be something that I did, it may be something that I didn't do a lot
Mhm.
of times too.
Mhm. Mhm.
And one of them is, like you said, acknowledging. But also, I feel like us as couples, we kind of forget this sometimes too about tapping into each other's love language as well too. So I feel like that's the core of it. So especially when there's like a nonverbal kind of, something's wrong, but you don't quite know what it is. For you, it's like quality time is your love language. And I'll go through all of them as well too. Quality time. So if you feel like we're just going through the motions, just hanging out, you will. I can tell because I know you. I know you. I can tell that something's bothering you with that. Instead of me saying like, you don't feel like I'm tapping into your love language. It's my job as your husband to go, okay, let me take a step back. That's what the issue is. It may not be what I'm doing at that moment. It's something that built up over time.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. I mean, as people, I think sometimes we just like learn to suppress a lot of things because we got a lot
Mm,
going on.
yeah.
And for me, it's kind of like that emotional, what am I trying to say? That mindset of always having to think for everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that emotional labor
Yes,
of
I get that.
mindset, right? Like I'm having to think about what the kids gonna eat for dinner, what they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna put on when they go to school. Are the clothes washed? What are we having for dinner?
Mm-hmm.
Did you forget to, let the dog out?
Yeah.
Or did we buy the dog food that we need to buy?
Mm-hmm.
Do we have all the groceries we have for the week?
Yeah.
Where do I need to go? Do I need to go out of town for work this week? So it's just like that emotional labor. And so while that is a normal thing that I'm happy to do,
Mm-hmm.
because, being a mom and a wife are super important to me,
Mm-hmm.
it also, for me, and I'm bringing this full circle in a second, but
Yeah.
like
No, keep going.
also for me, it's important that you recognize that, right?
Right. Right.
And that with me doing all of that stuff, it's important for me to know that you got my back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I ain't gonna lie, like, and we've had this conversation. Like, sometimes I feel like you just don't recognize when I get overwhelmed. I mean, it has gotten better over the years,
Yeah.
but like sometimes, even doing the normal day to day things, it's easy to get overwhelmed, overstimulated, overtouched by the
Mm-hmm.
children, and just needing a moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like sometimes it's not recognized, and I think this is in relationships in general,
Right.
like, sometimes it's not recognized till it blows up,
Ooh. Right.
and so, when you were just talking about love languages,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, yes, I am definitely one for quality time, I think that's super important,
Right.
but I have evolved over the years, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I would say that quality time was my number 1, and then words of affirmation were my number 2.
Okay.
But now I think the number 2 probably competes with acts of service,
Okay.
only because we are so busy and I
Right.
have limited time in the day. And
No,
so
I
for
get that.
me, knowing that, I go upstairs, take a shower, I come back down, you said, "Babe, I already got the kids' lunch ready for tomorrow."
Right.
It takes a load off of me, even though that probably would only have taken me 10 minutes.
Right.
Mentally, it takes an hour,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think that is where like probably the most conflict comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the emotional baggage of like having to think for everybody and everyone all the time.
Right. And what I've learned over the years with you as well too, it really has to do with personality type as well too.
Mhm.
Like detail, like you gotta know. Well, you like to plan ahead. You
Yeah.
gotta know what the next step is because at the same time you have all these things running through your mind, and that's when you get emotionally taxed out and
Mhm.
emotionally drained. Is because you're having to constantly do that. And the thing is, like you said, if I just take one of those things out of the equation and like you said, acts of service or just acknowledging like, hey babe, go sit down. I know that they're overstimulating you. overstimulating you because it can get that
Yeah.
way. I think that kind of brings you back down, like, yeah, he does get it.
Mhm.
And that's what you talked about before. They always say communication is key, but I think effective communication is key. We
Mhm.
can talk all day, but if we just talking and ain't nothing happening, we're not getting no solutions, we're not
Well,
getting nothing
it's
done.
because communication requires active listening.
Ooh, right.
People can talk all day
Mm-hmm.
long, but if you're not listening, like, and I mean like truly listening without
Right.
interrupting,
Mm-hmm.
then it goes nowhere because you don't understand what I'm trying to say.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
we've been through that too, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'll be talking and you'll cut me off because,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not that you're trying to be intentionally like rude or something, but like you'll cut me off because you think you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
think you know what I'm about to say, and so
Uh-huh.
you're trying to beat me to the punch so you can know that like I know you. And I'm like, no, that's not where I was going with that.
Right. Right.
Right. And so it takes active listening, like literally sitting there listening and understanding where I'm coming from
Mm-hmm.
and understanding my intention and like my whole point behind it before you start talking.
Right.
And I have to do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I catch myself sometimes when you're talking, or if we're even in a disagreement, and I'll be like, I'm ready to respond.
Yes.
But I have to stop myself and
Mm-hmm.
be like, okay, let me listen. Let me listen first and
Right.
see if he's going where I think he's going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing that really stood out to me with, us building something that you said to me, it was listen to understand, not listen to respond.
Hmm.
And I did a lot of that. I did a lot of listening to respond because it was, and I feel like it's more of like, it's almost kind of, and I hate to say it just because, you need to talk about yourself, but it's almost kind of like a know-it-all mentality. Like I want you to know, like I know what you thinking. Like I'm good. I got this. Like yeah, you ain't got to say nothing, baby. But that can
Hmm.
also be overbearing, like
Yeah,
to a certain extent. Well,
absolutely.
not to a certain extent. It can be overbearing,
Absolutely.
and it's another thing too. You've said this to me before, like mansplaining something, and
Yeah, absolutely.
there go body language.
Yeah, I mean, they can't see me, but like, yes, the mansplaining.
Yeah, and I did not know what that was until like you pointed it out to me, and it was just random. And not even me. It was we were watching First Take, and I think one of the female analysts was trying to say something, and then Stephen A. came back and said basically the same thing she did and just
Yeah.
repeated it.
You act
I
like
was
just
like,
because you're a man that like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, no. I
and
know
I get that
exactly
now.
what we're talking about. You cannot make it sound better.
Yeah.
I said the same thing.
And I mean, to be honest with you, we do that. We do that in school as well too. Like it's almost like you want to get like participation points. Like it's
Mhm.
like, no, I understand. I can verbalize myself.
Yeah, but
I'm
it
very
sounds more like you just took a paragraph and changed the
right,
words up. You
right,
know, that's plagiarism.
right. You're right. So let's go back. Actually, let's go back to you were talking about love language. This is
Yeah.
very interesting because I felt that same way as well too with you. Like it's changed over the
Yeah.
years. You say your top one, of course, is quality time, and I knew that.
Yeah.
But the two for you now are words of affirmation and acts of service. So I'll read all of them out: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. And I will go ahead and say, since I read that one, mine is definitely receiving gifts.
No, absolutely.
I like to get gifts. I think it's more. I don't even know where it came from. I like new stuff. I guess you could say, and I think it's more of.
I think you're not giving yourself enough credit though. Like
Uh,
I don't think it's necessarily just being like a selfish like wanting a gift.
I get that.
I
Yeah,
think it's the fact that somebody thought about you. Like,
that's fair.
the
Mhm.
fact that you're like, "Oh my gosh, you were listening to me
Mhm.
and you got the," you know what I mean? Like
Right.
anytime I've gotten you anything, you're like, "Wow." Like you did take that into consideration.
Mhm.
So I don't think you give yourself enough credit when it comes to that. I don't think it's just getting gifts.
Right. Yeah, I was looking at the surface level, and I get that too. It's like just the thought of you, the you know, thinking that this person is special to me. I want them to feel special as well too. Is another thing, and I feel like that is something that now that you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, it's not just like that, just at the surface. It's really that I appreciate that you thought of me, and when it comes to receiving gifts, and the thing is, it doesn't even have to be anything new. It could be something that you just like, hey, here you go. I was thinking about you. You know, you said something about that the other day, and I'm like, oh dang, I forgot about that, but thank
Yeah,
you. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it does, like I said, it does make me feel special when that comes. Now, the second one, I don't know if I really have a second one. What do you think my second one is?
Words of affirmation.
It's fair.
Yeah, you want to know that you're a good husband, a good father. You want to know that you're like you see those reviews coming through from your patients.
Hmm.
Like those things matter most to you.
Right.
And not just from, wanting to flaunt it or anything like that, but it's just more from like, again, you are not the type to rock the boat. You
Right.
want everybody to feel good with you and, make things easy peasy, fine and
Hmm.
dandy, right? So seeing great 5-star reviews, you're like, yep, I'm doing good in my job. It validates you.
Hmm.
Hearing your kids say, Daddy, you're the best dad ever, right?
Yeah.
It makes you
Right.
grin from ear to ear.
Right.
Me
Hmm.
telling you, like, you are the best husband on this side of earth.
Yeah, because let's be honest, I don't know what I would do if I ever got one a bad review from a patient,
Yeah.
but luckily that's not happened. Or
I mean, you've had a moment when you like questioned yourself at the beginning of your career,
true,
right?
true.
Only because of a comment, and it wasn't even anything negatively towards you. It was just that they weren't getting um better fast enough,
Uh
right?
huh. Yeah.
And kept talking about how like they weren't moving quickly as they thought they would have been,
Yeah.
and you put that all on you,
I
right?
did, and I feel like at the very beginning, I really did truly have imposter syndrome. I didn't think that I was good enough. So those comments, accelerated that. And like you said, I like everybody to be happy. I like everything to be good. Even like with the kids, like I will I will admit this. I
Hmm.
am I am a softy when it comes to them
I thought you
because
said you weren't soft.
well, when it comes to my kids, just like
Oh.
you are gangster boo when it comes to your kids, you roll up on somebody. So when it comes to the
Hey,
kids, I'm gonna change my nature. But like with them, like I really, and I don't know if it's the fear of like them saying that, because you see it on movies, like, man, I hate you. Like I don't know what I would do if I ever heard that for one. Because all I do is love, like, but I know they don't really mean that. It's in the moment, but I just don't ever want that to happen. Like, so I always want them to be happy
you can't
with
control that.
dad. I know. So yeah, so I would definitely say that it's words of affirmation for me.
What are you thinking? Because you hesitated.
I really thought I was quality time. I always tell you, you're my best friend. So I always want to like be with you, do things with you. Like I'm always saying, like you should come. We should do that together. Like I'm always wanting us to do things together. I'm always wanting us to find things to do together as
And
well
maybe
too.
for you it's changed though
Yeah.
too, but I also think there's something in there where all of them can be true at the same time.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Like you're gonna have attributes of all of them.
Right.
That doesn't mean you can't, want quality time. It's just like what is the most important to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No,
So when you look at it that way, what would be your top two?
it would probably be the ones you see.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, everybody has one that at the moment needs more attention.
Hmm.
Now, I have a question for you with that. Do you feel like sometimes I push one of those a little bit more, and that's not what you're feeling at the time?
Mm, that's a good question.
I'm almost like overbearing with one of them. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm lacking here. It ain't hitting there.
No, no, not necessarily with that. Not
Okay.
with like the love languages necessarily. But if we're going back to like the apology type
Mm. Mm-hmm.
situations, you will press a little bit harder on whatever we're
Okay.
talking about at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I tell you, I mean, something simple, like, I don't understand why it takes you so long to recognize the trash needs to be taken out, right? Then that next week, you're taking the trash out
Uh-huh.
like that, like that's your priority at the time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's fair. Yeah.
And so some other things might slip because you are focused on the trash because that's what I brought up to you.
Oh.
And so that's another thing with me because I'm like, I shouldn't. you doing it now
Mm-hmm.
because I said something means nothing,
Right.
right? I
Okay.
need you to
Yeah.
recognize it before I get to the point where I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
Or what are you not doing?
So with that, do you feel like that's almost to a certain extent like mind reading, like, or is it more of like being
Mind
able to
reading.
hold on, let me explain. Knew that was gonna come off.
All right. The Lord said, write it down,
No,
make it plain.
listen, no, no, no. Do you feel like it's more of like okay? Well, let's not use the word mind reading. Do you feel like it's more that I should know because I know you, or should I be able to pick up on signs? You get what I mean by that? I wanted
All
to change the word mind
all
reading.
of
I
the
think I cleaned it
above.
up a little bit. Okay.
All of the above,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Like
Okay.
we've been together for over 14 years.
Right.
So
Okay.
yes, there should be things that you already know about me.
Mm-hmm.
The same that for me to you.
Right.
But there also should be things where you pick up on cues because
Mm-hmm.
again, you know me. And
Right.
so you just said earlier, you know when something's wrong,
Right. Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I also think there's another piece to that puzzle.
Okay.
It's not just like this has happened one time. One
Mm.
time
Mm-hmm.
it's a mistake. Accidents happen. That's what we tell the kids, right?
Right.
But two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, you know,
Right.
times. And now it's just you ain't thinking.
Right. Or behavior.
Or yes, it's a behavioral thing,
Right.
right?
Right.
And now I'm getting frustrated because I've acknowledged it and discussed it
Mm-hmm.
and rediscussed it multiple times. And yeah, you do good for that 2 weeks.
Right. I get it.
And then, 2 weeks later, we're back in the same boat because you found another thing to latch on to and focus on, right?
Right.
So it's
Right.
almost like that one track mind
Mm-hmm.
type piece that we had to work through, I feel like. And we still work through it
Yeah.
because that can be frustrating for me,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So we talked about my love language being words of affirmation, of course, but I don't know if it's necessarily like asking you, well, how am I doing in that situation? I feel like I should never just like ask like, well, how I'm doing, babe? Like that just sounds so crazy. I guess what I'm trying to say is, how do I get to the point that I can acknowledge like, yeah, I'm getting it. You know what I'm saying? Without having to ask you or
I feel like we won't talk about it. Like it won't come up
right.
anymore.
Okay.
Or you'll notice that my body language no longer looks like I'm annoyed.
Right.
I
Okay.
mean, I do feel like from my point of view,
Mm-hmm.
it's important for me to also acknowledge the progress, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
of seeing you try.
Okay.
And I have to remind myself of that too.
Right.
Of like, hey, I noticed that you took what I said and you really are trying with this, right?
Mm-hmm.
That will help.
Yeah, right.
Now, if you come ask me, how am I doing? I'll be like, how you think you're doing?
Well,
Like, truly,
I'm gonna
that's,
tell you, I've learned over the years not to ask that question
I'll be like,
because
how you think you're doing?
and I've given you this example before, not to dig too deep, but I feel like it started in school. With school, you get a report card. It's like, well, how did I do
Yeah,
in those 6 weeks? How did I do? Did I get an
excellent
A?
student.
Oh, great. Good. Now I know that, okay, man, I got to be in that one. So maybe I should focus on that. And then I start focusing on that. And then, like, dang, well, I let that grade slip. So it's more of, I wouldn't say necessarily changing your personality, but changing how you, how can I say this? Changing how you interact with a person rather than just changing the things that you do.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah,
said before, actions speak louder than words.
yeah,
Like us saying words like, "Oh yeah, babe, how am I doing?" But if you like, if I'm putting forth the effort, I'm showing action, not saying like, "Oh babe, see, look me over here. I'm doing the
right,
trash," like you said.
exactly.
Yeah, but I
Because you
think it's
can
just
say
more of
I'm gonna
like,
change, I'm gonna do it,
yeah,
or you're gonna see better, and
mm-hmm,
then I don't, right?
right,
Or when I say I, because I'm talking for
of
me,
course,
but
yeah,
like you don't see that change in that person,
mm-hmm,
and you're like, well, I mean, whatever they said wasn't true, so I don't know how I'm gonna believe their words, right?
yeah,
But I feel like I've kind of been one-sided on this conversation.
mm-hmm,
What about you? When I frustrate you, like,
mm-hmm,
what do you look for as far as like, I'm using air quotes,
yeah,
apology,
uh huh,
Or like how do you want me to approach you?
I think for me, it's just more of acknowledging it, acknowledging that you realize that something bothered me.
Mhm.
Because, like you said, there's gonna be some times that I'm not gonna say anything, and I know that to some people that may be a bad trait, but we all know the saying "happy wife, happy life," right?
Mhm.
But I feel like sometimes us as men we take that a little too far. Of course, you want to make your wife happy, but you also want to hold your wife accountable as well too.
Mhm.
So if something does bother me, I used to just bottle it up and not say anything because I didn't want to ruffle any feathers.
Mhm.
But here's the thing, I had to know as a man, I have to say something because if not, I'm gonna continue to let that behavior keep going, keep going, keep going, go down the years, and then I finally like say something about it. You like, well, why didn't you say anything before? You
Right.
know what I mean?
Right.
So that's when that's when arguments get real big. Is
Mhm.
if you don't address it at the time, and it's more for me. It's not so when I address things, it's not making you mad that I addressed it.
Mm.
I feel like you are very accepting of the things that I say as well too. Now, there are some times that it may not come out the right way,
Yeah.
but that's just more on me, not on you. That's just me not being able to communicate myself in the right way.
And I do think that you have increased your communication skills,
Okay.
if I'm being completely honest, because when we were dating, you didn't
Yeah.
have any, if I'm being completely honest, right? Like, if
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
telling the truth,
No, you're right.
you didn't know how to express yourself.
Right.
And now I do think we communicate well,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is what's probably most beneficial about our relationship and
Yeah.
our marriage is because we are able to sit down and have the conversation without yelling at each other,
Right.
right?
No, I get
Now,
that.
I'm not saying we don't ever get heated
Right. Uh
because I know I do. Sometimes my blood is boiling,
huh.
but I also recognize that we're able to sit down and have a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you said earlier you now like to like address it just so that it's out there, and I can't say that you never said anything,
Mm-hmm.
but there are still times when you don't say anything and I recognize it, right? And I feel like as your wife, I also have to help you
Okay.
communicate it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I know you. I
Right.
know your body language. And so when I do see that stuff, I'm like, okay, hey, what's going on? I noticed that you're upset.
Right.
Let's talk about it.
Right.
And it kind of opens that door so that you feel comfortable
Mm-hmm.
to share it because it's in you to
Right.
be that people pleaser and to not want to rock the boat. So I have to help you open that door to
Mm-hmm.
have the conversation too.
Right. And I feel like there's an in between with that as well too with me. I think another part of me too is that I really carefully pick my battles. There are some times where, it's small. Like I don't really need to say anything about that. I wasn't too mad about that. Like I can really get over that. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I've heard someone say this before, like, we set the tone, the wife sets the atmosphere. Like if I can set the tone and not come in like, oh, that was wrong that you did that, or saying things like that, and it's not that big of a deal, then I can
Hmm.
keep a nice, even kill atmosphere in the area. If it's something for me, it's like if you know, here I am again. If the vibes are right, the kids are good, you say something, I'm like, hold on, wait, what? Do I say something? No, I'm good. It didn't bother me too much, but I'm gonna keep it in the back of my mind, but I know it didn't bother me. I'm just gonna keep it in the back of my mind so that if it happens again and it did bother me, I have that example.
But when do you make where's that line drawn though? Because when
Yeah.
is you say you put it in the back of your mind, like when is too much too much? Like
Mm-hmm.
how do you recognize that for yourself?
Mm. Well, I don't know. I don't know how I recognize that. I guess it's all about a feeling. Like if I feel like, man, like if I really, really feel like disrespected or not heard, then I'm gonna say something.
And I know that about you. And
Yeah.
that's what I've never seen you truly upset with
Mm-hmm.
anybody unless you felt that way.
Right.
But at that point, in my opinion, it's too far.
Mm.
You've gotten to the point where you are truly upset
Right.
versus able to calmly communicate.
Ooh, that's good.
So, how do you have checks and balances and check yourself to
Mm,
make sure you're not putting yourself in stress that isn't not necessary.
right. No, that's a very good question, and I will be completely honest with you. I do not know the
Well, I
answer
mean,
to
and
that.
that's okay. I think you
Yeah.
just need to think about that because I said this earlier in the episode. I used to be a people pleaser too.
Hmm.
And it wasn't until I recognized, like, these people are sleeping good at night, and I'm still over here trying to play, you know, what am I trying to say? Like, I'm trying to clean everything up, make sure everybody's good, and
Right.
ain't nobody else worried about it. Why am I worried about it,
That's a
right?
good point. Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, sometimes that stuff backfires on you, and then people
Hmm.
think you're trying to be something that you truly had pure intentions and good intentions about,
Right.
right?
Uh huh.
So for me, it was better to say, okay, now I am going to stand up for myself. I am going to share what I think and what how I feel
Right.
and do it, with pure intention still.
Of course.
But you have the right and you have to put yourself first to that degree because if not, again, like you said earlier,
Hmm.
people don't know. They
Right.
can't read minds,
Right.
like you tried to say earlier. They can't read
Use my
minds.
words against me.
So you can't sit there and just think, oh, it'll be better because what happens is it happens again
Right.
and again.
Hmm.
And if people don't know if it bothers you, they're gonna keep doing it unintentionally or intentionally.
Hmm.
But like with us, I'm saying like unintentionally doing something that upsets one another
Right.
and never knowing until it gets to the point where you just can't take anymore.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
ponder that. Like,
Yeah.
when do you know? How do you check yourself?
Well, I'm definitely gonna think about that
Yeah,
because
think about it.
yeah, thank you for challenging me on that too. Because yeah, and that's me and my growth as well too. We talked about it before about expressing my feelings and
Hmm.
being more emotionally intelligent to be able to say how that made me feel or how do I know at that point like I haven't reached my boiling point
Right.
because I mean you saw it, it's not pretty. So
Yeah, but I mean, and it's
yeah,
once in a blue moon, but it's
yeah,
clearly that something has been building for some
right,
time. So if
and
we
it
would have nipped it at the bud
right.
or, earlier, it may not have come off that bad.
Yeah. And you know the crazy thing is it may not even be that same thing over and over. It may be other things that I let
Right. Multiple
slide,
things.
but it's
Yeah.
still in the back of my head. I'm like,
You like they
wow.
did this, 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 and
Mm-hmm.
this, and this.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I would just think about it.
Got you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. Do you think that we speak the same language?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay.
I think, like I said earlier, we have learned how to communicate with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times when we speak the same language and there are times when we don't.
Okay.
But I also think that the times that we don't, it's because we don't truly understand the intention of the other one,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we haven't had that time to sit down and understand the why behind it or what caused them to react that way or what caused them to say that, right? We truly
Mm-hmm.
don't get it.
Right.
But once we do have that conversation, now all of a sudden we're back on the same page. And that's why communication is so important.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you're no longer guessing.
Right.
You
Right.
talk through it and now we can get back on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of when,
Right.
right? So, I mean, and there are going to be times where we're not on the same page and we're not speaking the same language.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's because we are talking to the other one the way we think they should
Right. Right.
receive it, right?
Exactly.
Versus how they truly are receiving it. So it's the communication piece that is missing at that moment.
Yeah. And I also think too that what helps us out a lot, there are times where we give each other grace.
Yeah.
You just said it before, like if there's a time where you're overstimulated, overthinking, have to do all this, I have to one, as your husband, be able to recognize that and go, okay, I understand why she expressed that the way that she did.
Hmm.
That wasn't an attack. That was an
Yeah,
outlet.
that's fair.
And for me, I have to recognize that and go, that wasn't personal to me. That was more of her venting her frustration. And there's a time I always tell you too when you talk to somebody like when they when they want to tell you something, are you here to vent or you asking for advice?
Hmm.
A lot of times with us, you're not asking for advice, really.
Hmm.
It's more venting like this is what happened for that day. You're not asking me to solve the problem.
Right.
You just want to be heard. And I
Right.
think that's what happens a lot of time. Like you said, listening to understand, not listening to respond. Because you've told me that before. I ain't asked you to tell me what I already
Yeah.
know what to
Yeah.
do. I just want you to hear me, babe. So yeah. And I think that's what gets us back on the same page with a lot of things.
And you said earlier that like I get quiet sometimes, and as I've grown,
Hmm.
my quietness, while I am ready to respond sometimes, my quietness is that I'm trying to think through like your mindset at the time too,
Hmm.
right? And I'm like, okay, he could have said that better.
Yeah.
He didn't. I don't think he necessarily meant harm,
Right.
right?
Hmm.
And so there are times when I have to just walk away, not out of like upset,
Right.
but just like trying to process it so that I come back in a good space
Hmm.
to talk about it.
Right.
And, the one thing, because we're talking about like apologies and stuff like that, something I read today actually on
Okay.
Instagram,
Hmm.
it said, like, if you're thinking about going to bed angry at your spouse,
Hmm.
you need to realize that someone is going to wake up tomorrow without theirs.
Mm.
And I
Hmm.
think that kind of, I mean, it's ironic that we're talking about this today,
Hmm.
but that kind of hit home for me because I was like, you know what? I've been always saying that recently,
Right.
like, I don't want us to be leaving the house upset with each other, or,
Hmm.
I want us to, it doesn't take away like you being frustrated
Yeah.
or wanting different or wanting a solution,
Hmm.
but I want to talk about it
Of course.
so that it's out there and that we are in a mutual understanding
Right.
so that it doesn't boil over,
Hmm.
because there are people who wake up and their spouse is no longer there to
Right.
have that conversation.
Right.
And I don't want to take that for granted.
Right.
So I wanted to share that because I read that today. And I think it brings home the reason why communication is so important.
Hmm.
Because you never want somebody to think like, okay, now they're gone
I wish I
and
would have.
I wish I would have this, I wish I
Hmm.
would have that. Or did they leave thinking that I didn't love them? Or
Right.
did they leave thinking that I didn't care? How did they feel about me at the moment?
Hmm.
And so I just thought that was important to share today.
Yeah. Love that. Love that. So yeah, I changed my mindset. It's not reading your mind. It's just more of knowing how you're thinking and knowing your person for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll do better.
It's not just you though. Like
Yeah.
I
No, I
think
get it.
in general,
Hmm.
everybody has
Right.
to learn how to communicate, and communication evolves
Hmm.
because how we used to communicate 10 years ago is not the same we communicate now.
Right. It's better.
Yeah, but it also like it involves having children, having big people jobs, like
Right.
we're the true new adults. So
Right.
like it's more
Hmm.
into this now
Right.
versus 10 years ago.
No, for
So
sure.
you have to continue to evolve. And I think for us, it's been great because I feel like we're great at communicating now.
Yeah. I do too. Yeah.
Is it perfect? No, but I do think it's a great way for us to communicate.
Yeah. For sure.
So I want to challenge you this week.
Ooh. Okay.
No, it's just what we were talking about earlier. I,
Okay.
I, I truly do want you to hone in on what makes you get to the point, where your drawing line is. I guess I would say, where's your line in the sand
Okay.
before it gets to the point where you blow up?
Okay.
Where do you need to be in order to effectively communicate before it's too late?
I like that. And I accept your challenge. I
I
do.
think
Do.
I think it will make a big difference for you
Hmm.
in the way you feel,
Right.
because being a people person and people pleaser can take a toll on you that you don't even recognize.
Right. Thank you. I'll do that.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to y'all later.
Hey y'all. Did you enjoy the episode today? If so, don't forget to comment your favorite moments and share with your family and friends. While you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to our Married to Millennials podcast YouTube channel and follow us on every major platform for podcasts. And don't forget, We're also on Instagram and TikTok at M2M Podcast. See you later.